tonight, Staff Sergeant Joe Biggs is here with us, and he's told some of this already, but since he's here with us in studio, for radio listeners and also TV viewers watching on PrisonPlanet.tv, I thought that we should walk through all of this again, what led up to Michael's car blowing up, the Rolling Stone associate editor. And the reason I made a big deal out of this is, in the past, the media would go look and see if this was foul play. Just out of hand. Instead, day one, they said, you don't say it can be foul play. That's a conspiracy theory. And then just more and more comes out. The car not speeding as fast as they said. The flash of light. Then, clearly, people going and looking at the tree, including our reporters we sent to L.A., the tree not even really damaged. It came to rest up against it. The engine blown out the back way down the road. All of this stuff. And the fact that he sent an email saying basically, they're after me, I'm going to go into hiding, get ready for the feds. And some of Michael Hastings' other friends that have talked to Joe Biggs, and of course, Joe got the email where he said he was basically going into hiding and had a big story he was about to break and get ready for the feds to come. Everybody else was too scared to even release that email. And let me tell you, folks, when it's not an inside job or foul play, they come out and say we're doing an investigation for a couple weeks. And the car blew up. We don't know what did it. When it's suspicious, they go, no foul play. This is completely normal. Happens all the time. Nobody look at this. The feds weren't talking to him. He wasn't working on a big story. There's nothing happening here. Just move along. When you see that type of behavior, ladies and gentlemen, that's when the red flags go up. And I've seen them kill a lot of journalists. Gary Webb, you name it, the arkanciting of people. This is a really serious issue. And persecution of press all over the world is a big deal. So Staff Sergeant Joe Biggs, good friends with Michael Hastings, they kept in contact with each other in the years after they've been in combat together, said, I'm going to stand up for my friend. He went to the memorial on the East Coast, was there. She came up to him. I mean, he really told the story in detail yesterday and specifically told him, I'm going to bring down whoever did this. And then to see her up there all glowing, oh, nothing happened, move along. I mean, folks, this is really getting serious. And if they can kill Michael Hastings and nobody investigates it, then they can kill Alex Jones. They can kill Ron Paul. They can kill Matt Drudge. They can kill Breitbart. Oh, I guess he's dead. They can kill whoever they want. And at a certain point, if more people start dying, I don't know what we're supposed to do because, you know, I'm not looking to start a fight here, but and I know it's a big shadowy government and things, but, you know, at a certain point, we just can't sit here while death squads run around killing whoever they want. Now, Staff Sergeant Joe Biggs, you heard me just lay out some of the basics of what happened, but getting back into it, talking about remembering Michael Hastings and just repeating what you said about him in combat compared to all the other press you ever saw, and then how scared he was. In your own words, repeat what you said last night to the cameras, on record here live on air for our own safety, because I want to get everything out you said last night here live on air, because I don't want to sit on this tape while we're putting it in the film, and then, you know, we both end up having our own little explosions.
Well, like I've said before, 2008, I find out that we're going to get another reporter in bed with us, and, you know, like me and the rest of the guys are kind of like rolling our eyes like, oh, great, here we go again. Another, you know, reporter coming out here saying that they're going to be all hard and hard charging, and they're, you know, dedicated to working on their stories and doing all this. And to, you know, when he gets there, it was just a whole different persona of what I just had, you know, in my head from all the other guys. He jumps in there and he's just like, you know, what are you guys doing? What are you working on? You know, how could I help? You know, what's the best way to, you know, portray what's going on? You know, so we get out there and we finally get on, he goes on a few missions with us, and he actually was involved in a pretty big one up on a mountaintop in Pakistan. And we came under attack, and, you know, like I said before with other reporters, they would just whimper down and they would, you know, like, why did I do this? I want to go back home. I didn't sign up for this, you know, and Michael's just sitting there with this grin on his face, and I'm looking over at him. And I just remember kind of sitting there shooting my M4, and I'm looking over, and he's just looking up at me, smiling with the camera. And he's like, is this it? Is there more? You know, he just had that intensity, that passion about what he did.
And you described there's A-10s, helicopters, mortars going off around you.
Oh, yeah. There were A-10 Warthogs coming in. We had helicopters shooting Hellfire missiles. It was just complete and total chaos controlled chaos, I guess you could.
It was like a scene out of Apocalypse Now.
Yeah. It's one of those things that you want to see when you get in the military, but then it happens and you're like, wow, this is not like the movies. This is so intense. Like there's so many parts moving, the guys on the ground calling in for the airstrikes, the artillery, all this stuff, trying to get clearance from Washington. Can we use a C-130 Spectre gunship? Can we do this? And we're like, no, it's not important enough. Okay. Well, there's like 300 of them and 30 of us. I think that's pretty important, but the A-10s took care of it for us. But, Michael was just that guy. He didn't shriek back from the fear. He loved it. I mean, he was just a go-getter and an adrenaline junkie, and definitely right up my alley, my kind of guy.
I think there was more to this guy than meets the eye. I mean, he marries the head spokesperson, the PR flack, the PSYOPs officer of the National Security Council. That's the top of the pyramid worldwide, because you've got globalist interest and banksters that own things, but the United States National Security Council is telling NATO what to do. It's telling the UN what to do. It's making all the decisions. I mean, that's the top of the pyramid. The Eye of Sauron, that's right in the middle of it. He marries her 2 years ago.
Yeah. Love, I guess. Love will do crazy things to you. And definitely, it's definitely not one of those, a matchup you would think, but, whatever.
Amazing. I mean, repeat what you said yesterday about leading up to this, talking to her, and then when you're in that restaurant, your buddy goes, look up, she's on CNN. And, I mean, just your whole take on that. Yeah,
from the get-go of how he was in Afghanistan, courageous, brave, strong kind of guy. All he did was speak the truth, and he didn't let anybody hinder, that. He didn't let anybody kind of like persuade him to change his stories, his words. He spoke the truth, and that's just how he was. So I get this email, and that email, he sounds so scared. And it just didn't sound like the Michael that, myself or anyone else knew.
You said you talked to his other friends who physically talked to him. He was looking, repeat all that. The feds had come to the house, looking under the car. You said he was scared.
Yeah, he had LAPD and then some other people had come by the house, could have been feds. Like I said, at that point, there was a lot of weird things happening in the days leading up. He was seen looking under his car with his brother. His other buddy, a mutual friend of Mike and I's, said that 5 days out, he started speaking in code. He was just panicked and on alert, just seemed like he was constantly looking over his shoulders left and right. And I knew he was like that in a sense because what happened with the McChrystal story. He'd called me a few times and I'd spoke to him and he's like, I'm kind of scared.
Well, you told me, people were telling him, we're going to kill you.
Yeah, I mean, he even wrote that in one of his books. I mean, he pretty much came out and said that they said that. So, I mean, he definitely...
So the biggest killers in the world say we're going to kill you. Your car blows up and it's not suspicious.
I mean, everyone just wants to crack up to be some accident. I guess it's easier to sweep this away and sweep it under the rug than to actually dig in there and ask the questions. And a lot of people out there just don't want to get into it. But, it's not going to stop me and some other people I know that are still curious and still have all these unanswered questions, and we want to find out what's going on.
Well, like you said, Mike would do it for you.
Oh, of course. Mike would do it for anybody. I mean, that was just the kind of guy he did. Any kind of, unjust act that happened, and he didn't feel right about it, he'd get that gut feeling. I mean, he's going to look into it. I mean, he was going to find out what was going to happen. I can't just not, I didn't choose for the email to come to me. I would have saw that and been like, what's going on, and definitely still been curious about the whole thing. But it came to me, and I didn't ask for it to happen. But I got this feeling I had to do something. But before I even released the email, I started contacting the other people that were on there, and I'm asking them, hey, don't you think this is weird that we got this email, and now he's dead? Like, are you guys at BuzzFeed going to do anything about this? And then the response I got was, you know about this? Question mark, question mark. And then that was it. And I kept emailing them back, so what are we going to do? Nothing. So I started asking around, I asked my mom for some advice. I was like, should I say something? And my mom was like, don't say anything. She's like, that's some scary stuff. I thought about it for a while, and I was just kind of like, my gut tells me I've got to say something. So I started contacting different people, and, KTLA was the one who responded. So I forwarded them that email, and now, you know, most people aren't thinking this is an accident anymore. They're kind of getting that feeling that I had from the get-go.
That's right. You brought the fact that he was going into hiding, that the feds were coming after him. They didn't want that in the equation. They wanted everybody to be scared. Yeah. But one guy stood up, and now more and more is coming out. Get into, I mean, repeat what you said yesterday when we were taping in there for the film about, you know, what she told you at the funeral then versus what you saw on CNN and what you think might be going on there.
Yeah, I went up to Vermont with a mutual friend of Mike and I's and stayed with them. And we went to the memorial service. And we get there, and I kind of do a walkthrough, you know, shake his father's hand, his mother, his brothers, and sit down. And it's just kind of one of those sad, you know, it was just, it was nice to see that many people who cared about him show up. But it was just kind of a sad, just overall.
Solemn.
Yeah. So I was like, you know, I got to get out of here for a second and get a water. So I'm walking out, and as I walked around, Elise came around, Michael's wife, and said, Staff Sergeant Biggs. And I turned around, and she goes, come here. You know, I'm sitting there thinking, all right, this could go one of two ways. This could be like, thanks for, you know, bringing this to light, or, you know, this isn't into your business. Why did you release this? I mean, really, it could have gone either way.
Well, he sent you the email.
Yeah. So she actually comes up to me, and she's crying, and she hugs me and says, thank you. She starts talking to me about how Mike had spoken about me many times. And I mean, she knew more about me than I knew about her. I mean, she was just going from story to story from Afghanistan and the conversations we would have. And she knew everything about me, you know, and I kind of put me more to calm. And then, you know, after she wiped the tears away, you know, she got that pit bull look, and she told me, you know, we're going to find out. She's like, I'm going to find out who did this. And I'm not going to like roll over on this. This isn't an accident. I will find out who did this. And that was pretty powerful for me.
She said this wasn't an accident.
Yeah.
And then fast forward a month later,
Yeah, well, then I tell her that I'm going to go to L.A. and do some investigating. I want to look around and find out what's going on. You know, I had a whole checklist of things I wanted to, you know, cover and go over.
And we have some potential suspects.
Yeah. So.
I think she was threatened, but keep going.
So I send her that, and at first she's like, okay, that's fine. You know, she just seemed all, you know, dandy about it. It seemed like, yeah, whatever, you know, go do it. You know, that's your friend. You can find out whatever you want. You know, I'm going to do what I'm doing and investigate on my side, and you do what you want to do. And then the next day, I wake up, and I took a nap, and I had like 4 or 5 long texts.
That was right after you'd been on my show.
Yeah. 4 or 5 long texts, and, you know, like, don't go to L.A., don't do it, please don't go. And I texted back, I was like, why? And she's like, just don't do it. I don't want to get into it. Just don't do it. And then I called because I was like, you know, my heart started pounding. I'm like, all right, why the big change? And when I called, she didn't even answer. Someone else did, this lady, saying that it was her friend, you know, and I could kind of hear her off in the background. And they were just like, you know, Elise doesn't want you to go right now. Please don't do it. Cancel the whole trip. And so, I mean, you know, you hear a widow, you know, like that, and so you called me, and I was going to send 2 reporters with you at least, yeah,
and a former NSA guy who investigates these things, and you said, let's wait 2 weeks. So we wait 2 weeks, and I didn't even know she was going to be on. I texted you at about 9 at night. I was putting my kids to bed. Yeah. I texted you, go, hey, you know, how are you and her doing? You heard anything new? And you go, what are you talking about? She's on TV right now. Yeah. So let's fast forward. Where are you right then when I'm texting you?
I was actually having dinner with a buddy of mine, Spencer, and you know, we were just actually kind of going over some stuff I was talking about. He was asking me, you know, what are some new leads in the story? You know, have I made any progress? And next thing you know, he kind of nudges me, and he's like, you're not going to like this, but look up. And I looked up at the TV, and, you know, it's Elise Jordan, you know, Piers Morgan, and I just kind of got this sour gut feeling. I was like, what, really? And then the interview goes on, and then she just seems happy. She's saying this is an accident, and my stomach hurt. I mean, I pretty much paid the bill, got up and left. I just couldn't even stomach to be there. And not even until the next morning that I actually, after sleeping on it, did I even watch the video on YouTube. It was definitely a 180 change from how she was to this whole other